What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have the final reset, coming with the final chances to pick up final shape rewards, as this is the final weekly reset of the final shape year. That was a mouthful. Today we've got the reset for July 8th. Like I said, this is the last week of the final shape year, and the last week for Rite of the 9, and a bunch of other weapon drops, rewards in the game. Probably also coming with a couple of reveals or teasers for Edge of Fate. So in this one we'll round up important things to know about this last week before the next expansion. We've got a massive reward buff for Rite of the 9. Also, we'll cover all of the vendors, the Eververse inventory, updates from Bungie, featured exotics, raids, endgame content, and a handful of other things in the video. So first we should say, if you want to stay up to date with Edge of Fate, Destiny 2 in general, then get subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell, as we'll have plenty to talk about in the coming weeks. But now let's get into it. Initially, this week, Rite of the 9 will have all 3 dungeons featured with increased loot, so Bungie have said there'll be increased currency and weapon drops across the board, as well as additional bonus rewards when we actually clear the final encounter. This is the so-called Lootapalooza that Bungie spoke about, so if you do want to get any of the Rite of the 9 stuff, if you're still chasing specific weapon rolls, whatever it may be, then there's a fairly significant buff available this week. Definitely worth taking advantage of if you don't want to miss out on anything. That's the first part. Additionally, of course, it's the final week of episode Heresy, so the same applies there, whether it's unlocking triumphs, titles, adept rewards, weapons, whatever it may be, there are just 7 days now to get all of that stuff wrapped up. And lastly, in terms of other final chances, the Nightfall this week will feature the Wild style, and the Adept variant of that, of course, will no longer drop as we move into Edge of Fate. It may return as a tiered weapon at some point in the future, but in its existing form, this is the last week where we're able to get it. Keep that in mind. The same will apply to Iacia's Care, of course dropping from Trials of Osiris when that returns on Friday, and again, this will be the final Trials before we go into the expansion, and I believe it's going to be early August until Trials actually returns, given that Bungie will give it a couple of weeks off, so plenty to think about there, of course worth mentioning at the start of the video. Next up though, we get onto the Eververse inventory for the week. I can't even remember if I said that I'm away from home at the start of this video, but I am, that's why my microphone sounds different for this section. Nonetheless, my friend Duddits has jumped in to get the Eververse inventory for the week right here, so we'll take a look at the Bright Dust stuff as always. Here on the front page we have the Canned Rage, a legendary emote. That one's up for 700 Bright Dust. We also have the ornaments for the exotic class items this week as well, available for Bright Dust. I think these have only been silver only up until now, so that's certainly nice, up for 1500 Bright Dust on the front page right here. Additionally for the front page though, we have the Stasis Entrance Transman effect up for 450 Bright Dust. Then for our front page shaders, we have Jungle Viper up first. As always, these will be 300 Bright Dust, and additionally, there is Grayscale Undergrowth for the same cost. And then, as we move over to the main Bright Dust section, additionally, we have the Drumroll exotic emote right there, which is 3,250 Bright Dust. Additionally, there is the Disallowed Banner legendary emote, which is up for 700 Bright Dust. And then moving on, we've got the Overcharged Chill exotic ghost, which is 2,850 Bright Dust. And also the Laser Cutter exotic ship, which is 2,000 Bright Dust this week. And then for Sparrow, we have the Nightmare Stalker up this week, which is an interesting looking one. That one's 2,500 Bright Dust as well. And then an ornament right here for Finality's Augur, which is the Flower Game Stamp weapon ornament for 1,250 Bright Dust. Again, this is the first time for Bright Dust this week, so certainly a nice one to have. Worth jumping in to try and grab the weapon as well, if you don't have it. Otherwise though, we do have the Ouroborean projection up for 1,500 Bright Dust on the second page as well. And then for the last lot of shaders, there is initially Celestial Dome. Once again, all of these will be 300 Bright Dust. Also this week we have Nectar Dynamo, which of course has come up plenty of times. And then finally we've got the Argent Teratorn shader, as well as the Royal Protector from back in Echoes. So a couple of ones there which might be nice. Otherwise there is the Loot Chest Effects Transmat. All of these once again are 450 Bright Dust. And then we have the Cabal Shield Breaker. And very finally the Swirling Leaf Entrance. So there we go, that's the final week of Eververse stuff for Year 7 right there. I'll be curious to see if there are any additional Eververse changes worth knowing about going into Edge of Fate. Seems possible. I guess maybe we'll have to wait for patch notes. Otherwise, let us know if you'll pick anything up from the store this week, and don't forget to grab that free Bright Dust on the front page. For some final rewards to round up here, the exotic mission this week is Node Override Avalon, where we can get Vexcalibur. We also have Deepstone Crypt, where Eyes of Tomorrow will drop, and Root of Nightmares, where we can pick up the Conditional Finality, and for both of the raids, all of their exotics and legendary loot pools are unlocked this week, so we can farm away with repeat chances to get drops. Otherwise, the same applies to Duality, where we can get the Heart Shadow, and Spire of the Watcher, which is featured in addition to the Rite of the Nine version this week, and that has Hierarchy of Needs. So if you've been looking for chances for any of those exotics, the best time to get them is this week. Finally though, for Lost Sectors featured this week, today we have Aphelions Rest in Dreaming City featured, then it will be Chamber of Starlight on the 9th. For the 10th of July, it'll be Hydroponics Delta, followed by Gilded Precept on the 11th, Thrillerdrome for July 12th, and finally we'll have Broken Deep on the 13th, and the Blooming Deep for the 14th. Not pending any downtime, of course, that we will get right before the expansion. For today, guys, that is what we have to round up. So if you found this video helpful, a rating really does help me on the channel below. Also be sure to get subscribed and I can keep you posted with a bunch more Destiny content. Otherwise though, I appreciate you tuning in. Enjoy the last week of the final shape year, and for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.
Matterspark has you turn into this wild ball of arc energy. It's like nothing we've done in Destiny before. The Mattermorph ability lets you twist the objects in the world around you.
With Relocator, you've essentially co-opted the Fallen's teleportation networks and can use it to cross gaps you wouldn't have even considered before.
It'll be the small tells, an open vent, a broken window, things you want to remember because you might be revisiting them later.
Abilities can be upgraded, so as you unlock new perks, you can chain them into your build crafting in clever ways.
By far the most game-changing is one of Matterspark's upgrades. On Kepler, it lets you turn into Matterspark the same way you'd summon a sparrow, wherever and whenever. It will optimize not only exploration, but also combat on future playthroughs in super creative ways. There are tons of cool combinations. You can suspend an enemy with Mattermorph, bend a path up toward the sky, and then in mid-air, leap into Matterspark to dash across the arena and arc chain a group of enemies.
The team has already seen players pairing abilities with different exotic perks and aspects to create some really crazy builds.
We know this is only the beginning and can't wait to see what happens once players get their hands on this kit.